Sure, the best thing I can do is have Scott Mackey walk with me. So right behind me is LAPD. That is Grand Park right there. And as we come over here, these are the western steps of LA City Hall, and you can see a number of LAPD officers. We're gonna just kind of clear these bus stop right here. And you can see the LAPD officers right there, right up against the fence line. Right above them is the National Guard. Earlier, I think around 6:30 when I was chatting with you guys, there was a line right here on Spring, and that is where the National Guard members were. We still see some of their vehicles right there. It might be in the silhouettes. I'm not sure if we can bump the gain up on the camera well enough for you to see them, but you can still see that a number of them are still there. There are more National Guard on the other side, on the eastern side of City Hall. So if you're familiar with City Hall East, basically the southeast corner, there are more of the National Guard members as well. But right now we have LAPD dispersed at this line right here, where you see the demonstrators peacefully demonstrating and basically practicing civil unrest. And then down the road, more LAPD officers, and that is, if you recognize that corner, it's basically where the old LA Times building is, and right across the street is LAPD headquarters.
All right, Jeff, thank you so much. We want to make sure that we're checking in with Desmond Shaw, who's been up in our helicopter, keeping an eye on things. It's been a challenge to cover these protests this evening and also cover what's been going on with some of the lawlessness that's breaking out in different parts of the city. One of the places where that's been really prevalent has been Long Beach tonight. Desmond Shaw over some kind of clothing store where people have been running in and out for a very long time. Right, Desmond?
Yeah, Chris and Sarah, I don't think it is over-dramatization to just say that parts of Long Beach are falling into complete anarchy at this point. I've just witnessed probably 30 or 40 people coming out of the building all within a 5-second span. And there's still dozens more people in there, and that's just one store. There's these other stores here along this promenade I showed you earlier, just as I zoom out. You know, Long Beach PD is only 1 block away in this area. This area has already been completely devastated. A GameStop. There's a jewelry store there. I can't tell if that's been broken into. There's another clothing store here, and even more brazen. Okay, finally we have some ground units here that have showed up to the El Super, because there were still people going in and out of the store with Long Beach police only 50 to 100 feet away. And even now, look at these people. Look like they were ready to go inside, and now we'll see. Hopefully, Long Beach police will come and apprehend some people. I'm sure there's still quite a few people in the store, but there's also another entrance here. We'll see if people come out of that entrance. But you could just see how completely overwhelmed the Long Beach Police Department is at this point, with maybe a dozen stores that are being raided.
All right. I'm sorry, we were checking with our control room and some of our producers. Desmond has been updating us from the sky. Desmond, hang with us for just a second. We're playing some video from the scene earlier when it looks like that store was initially breached by looters and thieves who were in there taking who knows what from that supermarket.
I mean, you really can't get much but groceries, right?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say. I imagine that's all there is in there, but, sometimes they keep cash on hand. Who knows what the situation is? And, grocery stores have been doing a lot of business in the middle of this pandemic. And, remember, all of these places employ a lot of people, especially grocery stores, and, they need somewhere to go back to work to on Monday. This is really devastating for so many reasons. It's incredibly unfair to the business owners, be it large or small, but it's also unfair to those employees who depend on those places being open so they can collect their paychecks, many of them part-timers.
Yeah, you're completely right. And then if you look at the left-hand side of your screen, that's an actual live shot of Gene Machine. I mean, it blows my mind how many people are going in and out of this store, and
I know so many of you are asking too where the police are.
So is that clothing?
Yeah, clothing there. I just want to address the fact that I know you're wondering where are the police here. Long Beach police obviously spread out, and I'm wondering, and Chris has been wondering, whether or not they will call in for reinforcements, whether that be mutual aid from neighboring departments. You see the police helicopter there, or the LA County Sheriff, which we have seen spread out across the area, or the National Guard.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm looking it up online. Gene Machine, clothing, shoes, accessories. So definitely a lot for these people to break into and to steal. And it appears they run into the store, they take off. What we've seen them get into other vehicles, and then the vehicles driving off. But I mean, the fact that this has been going on for 3+ hours in Long Beach is pretty amazing to see.
We have a lot of
there's law enforcement now,
it looks
and
like
you
they
see
are
people
showing
running
up.
away.
And remember, we have seen this evening that they are typically going into these places once they have backup. 2 or 3 officers aren't going to be able to stop crowds and crowds of people. They need that police presence, from what we can tell, in order to feel confident enough to put a stop to this kind of thing. But what we're seeing here, it's almost like little fires cropping up everywhere. You see this happening, people move on, law enforcement arrives, and then it happens in another area not far away. It's just an overwhelming situation for law enforcement to try and tackle, on top of the obvious police presence at some of the larger demonstrations that are happening in other parts of the city.
And Desmond Shaw, you're live above right now in Sky 2 and Sky 9. I know we just saw some officers, some patrol vehicles drive by. Where did they go? Can you tell from your vantage point?
They're kind of circling the area here, Chris. Again, there's so many places are under are under attack essentially right now by these looters that it's really difficult for them to get a handle on any one location. I am starting to see more units arriving in the area. They were trying to lock down the El Supermarket, and then I showed you the other shopping promenade where the GameStop was. This is just 1 block to the south. It looked like they may be trying to actually chase down some of the vehicles that were driving away from the scene. They may be trying to flag them down and force them to pull over, but it's just such an overwhelming situation because whereas, some of the images we saw last night where it seemed like maybe, there was a few dozen people from what I remember, we're seeing literally hundreds of people now looting stores in the downtown Long Beach area.
How much can you zoom into this shot? I know it's hard because you're higher up, but yeah, it just looks trashed inside that store. And Sarah, we saw a couple of patrol vehicles drive by with their sirens on and their lights on, and people ran away. As soon as those vehicles took off, people went back inside.
There were still people there, though, and who knows how many people are actually in the store. One of the reasons why we have these curfews and these, shelter-at-home orders is because law enforcement has expressed to us they want to be able to distinguish people who are walking or protesting and caught up, and people who are committing criminal acts, even boldly in front of bystanders, in front of law enforcement. They don't want to. They don't want any ambiguity there. They want to make sure that they can enforce the law, which has not always happened, as we've seen tonight. We've seen a lot of scenes just like this one in different parts of Los Angeles, just like what's happening here in Long Beach. And it's just really devastating to watch and to know that this is happening in the midst of a pandemic, in a time where people are supposed to be keeping social distancing in mind. And also when businesses have been devastated, the economic impact on Los Angeles County cannot be overstated. We've done so many stories talking to city leaders, business owners, large and small, employees who've lost their jobs, economic analysts about how long the recovery will take just because of, a couple of months of closures. This, for so many reasons, is going to set us back in a lot of respects, and it's very hard to see. So it's something that we do want our viewers to know. We will be asking our local leaders about in terms of the pandemic and the impacts this will have. But law enforcement, too, has to deal with that in a situation where social distancing for them is just about impossible.
Right, and Sarah, I was thinking about the same thing, the pandemic, and talking about the economy and the hit that it has had on the economy and so many people, but also these people who were going back to work this weekend. I mean, I know retail has opened up, curbside retail, but just in the last few days, it's been one of those situations where the city was allowing these retailers to have people come inside and shop, at a safe distance. And then situations like this happen. This Gene Michael place that we're watching is just one of many businesses that we've seen just vandalized, broken into, ransacked. So it's been pretty awful to see. Right now, it appears that one of the patrol officers actually stopped in front of this vehicle. There's still a couple people running out with a whole bunch of items. Desmond, tell us, what are you seeing right now? Apparently, they just fired a
Notice that this
non-lethal
officer
at
came
the
out,
guy.
and they have been firing less than lethal rounds now at the looters that are coming out. Here comes another one. Let's see if they fire at him, and you see that this person just completely taking off. And now here come the riot squad. Now they have finally come in, and you look at the inside of this. It looks like a hurricane hit the place, Chris, Sarah.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, there was 2 people that ran out. They fired non-lethal lethal. That one guy took off pretty quickly. Are there other people inside the store? This is the most action we've seen as far as, police actually being in this area.
I've seen so many people coming in and out of this store now at this point. I have no idea. There may still be some people inside. Just when we thought we saw, you saw 20 or 30 people come out, you thought, oh, there can't be anybody else in there, then 20 or 30 more people come out. So I'm not sure how large this store is, but it's definitely large enough to hold several dozens of people at any one time.
All right, Desmond, thank you. I know you're going to keep an eye on that situation as more law enforcement arrives. Brittany Hopper actually has a different vantage point. She's on the ground in Long Beach in another area, it looks like. Brittany, what have you been seeing in the last couple of minutes?
Right, that's right, guys. So we're on 8th Street and Long Beach Boulevard, just up the street from that grocery store where the looting's happening. And I could just tell you guys, this is like a tornado of people that come and go. And so basically you have some of the more peaceful protesters doing what they're doing. And then you have those who are causing havoc. And as you're seeing right now, fire are out here trying to put but there was some smoke. This building some folks tried to put this building on fire, but the fire crews came out here and quickly got that fire out, thankfully. But as you can see down the street, if we could just turn over here, lots of fire crews down here, a couple ambulances down here, lots of sirens going off. And like I mentioned, it's almost like a tornado of people that are coming and going. They hit different spots. And they either are protesting peacefully, or then they come in and they start rioting and looting and starting to put buildings on fire. This is a place that now, thankfully, we could say that it's just a little bit of smoldering smoke at this point. And the firefighters got this fire out pretty quickly. For now, we're going to send that back to you guys in the studio.
Yeah, Brittany, it's hard to see from your shot because it's pretty dark, but how many people does it look are out there where you're at?
Oh, thank you. No, thank you, guys.
It looks like she was talking to somebody down there. We're going to check in with her as soon as we can. Obviously, fire departments in some of these areas that are seeing some of this destruction are incredibly busy tonight. And not only do they respond to fires, but they also take medical calls. We still don't have tallies for those of you who are wondering on arrests or on injuries in some of these places. In many cases, local police departments and fire departments are still gathering those numbers themselves, and the situation is changing rapidly.
Yeah, and if you look, those are 2 different live shots, both in Long Beach, one from the ground, one from Sky 2, Sky 9. That one store, Gene Michael, was being looted just for the Gene Machine. Was being looted for quite a while, and we saw people running in and out of there. Officers came up, and it looked like they fired less than lethal at 2 guys, but they kept taking off. And this is just one of many spots across Long Beach that is being hit. Let's go back to Desmond in the sky. Desmond, you're still in the same area, but giving us a different vantage point. What's going on here?
Yeah, Chris and Sarah, it looks like now Long Beach police have responded in force. So you have you see the SWAT team here as well with their Bearcats, their armored vehicles. They're no longer really afraid to use less than lethal force at this point. We have noticed at least a few rubber bullets being fired. At least one person was hit, and they were stunned momentarily, but they got back up and ran. It's unclear if they were apprehended down the street or what, but it's just complete chaos. But you do see finally they have responded en masse. It's just been so difficult for them to get them in place in enough areas where they can completely encircle the looters. You see a spotlight there as well from one of their choppers overhead. So this area spans several blocks, this shopping district, kind of just to the east of where we saw the big group of protesters earlier. And what's just been stunning to me is how it's been hundreds of people now at this point. It's no longer just a few bad actors that are out here. Hundreds of people have been going in and out of these stores. As I look out my window, I saw dozens and dozens of cars leaving the area and scattering all across the city. It's unclear if they plan on going somewhere else, but I am starting to see a really, really massive law enforcement presence here in Long Beach. They may be getting assistance finally from other agencies. I'm seeing some fire trucks and police on the 710 freeway making their way over here. So they're trying to finally get this situation under control.
I just want to remind our viewers that much of our region is now under a curfew. Obviously, Los Angeles County's curfew went in effect at 6 o'clock, including all the cities within the county limits. The county leaders made sure to make clear that those county curfews superseded local curfews. And then one of our photojournalists has been putting out some information about Orange County. That's his assignment. He's been covering that area.